Hello and welcome, Valiath here. Today we'll be talking about how to heal the dungeon Darkheart Thicket. In the background you'll see my plus 23 Botanical run that I did with my Holy Paladin in a pug. This first big pull has become standard in most runs now, and it's important for us as healers to be prepared for it. I had a really good group, which allowed me to focus a lot on damage. As you can see, we can still dish out a tons of damage if the group knows what they're doing. Outside of a lot of damage getting pushed out from everywhere, we need to pay extra attention to the frenzied Nightclaws, or those big cat-looking enemies. They put a bleed dot on a player that deals physical damage and will continue ticking until the player is healed past 90% of their health bar. Make sure you focus heal that player when he goes out. We also pull the big grizzly bear. He does a large frontal on the tank, which does hurt, but it shouldn't be too bad if you have a tank that knows how to cycle their CDs. The bigger thing from the bear is his maddening roar casted spell. It does a lot of AoE damage to the group and leaves a debuff on all players, causing everyone to take 20% more damage on the next time he casts maddening roar. This ramps up quickly and does hurt, so make sure you're prepared for the 4th and 5th cast. It stops at 5 stacks, but that is still 100% more damage, which does hurt. The Ruiners need to have most of their casts kicked, but specifically Despair. This debuff reduces the healing taken by 10% and can get a bit annoying, especially on bursting weeks. We also have Poisoners in this pack. It's the guy that turns into a spider. He puts Nightmare Toxin on a player, which if you can, should be removed as soon as possible. It does ticking damage, and if allowed to stay until its expiration, it will explode, doing area damage to everyone. Outside of all of this, make sure you help with interrupts, stuns, and CCs to help control the enemies. This next group has more of the same enemies other than the Razor Beaks. Just make sure you stay out of their frontal charge and continue to do DPS and help CC the Ruiners, and heal up the people with the bleeding dot, and you should be fine. In this next walkway, we have even more Nightclaws and more Ruiners. Just continue to focus CC and spot healing while staying out of the bad stuff on the ground. And here we have the double bear pull, which most healers dread, and for good reason. We have double maddening roars going out, which deals a ton of damage. Make 100% sure you have your full kit available before engaging these guys. Most groups will find a way to skip these, which the tank and the warlock tried to do here. There was a bit of miscommunication though, where everyone was not on the same page with the skip, so we ended up pulling them anyways. Make sure you cycle your CDs and use your defensives and externals here as much as you can. I recommend making sure you skip these guys on 4 to 5 weeks though, and make sure you discuss any skip strategy before you start the dungeon. And now we get to the first boss, which is quite simple from a healing point of view. The boss will cast Xavius Leap on someone, leaving a bleeding dot on that player. This needs to be held up past 90% of their health bar for it to go away. Outside of this though, don't stand in front of the boss, stay out of the bat on the ground, and kill little abomination guys that spawn as they hurt if you get hit by them. Next pack we encounter are these flowers and a dryad. Nothing really dangerous here. The dryad throws spears on people that can be poisonous, so if you have a poison spell, use it. Of note, these flowers will not die so long as there is a Darkheart Keeper alive in the group. This is why it's a good idea to kill these first two before engaging the next pack, which has keepers in it. Make sure the keeper is killed as fast as possible though, or you will keep getting overrun by these flowers. You'll see we skipped this next pack thanks to the Demon Hunter imprisoning the Dryad, which allowed us to just walk to the side. The Dryad runs around in the middle of the path here, and is the only enemy we need to CC to accomplish this skip. If you engage this pack, just focus on the Keeper and don't stand in bad. Here again we have tons of flowers that we need to kill before engaging the pack with the double Keepers. If we pull this with the next pack, if any of the flowers die before the Keeper, they'll just keep coming back to life and won't truly die until the Keepers are taken care of. The keepers also spawn these big mushrooms on the ground. You'll have a second or two to move out of them, so make sure you pay attention to your feet and move away. Also, try not to stand in the path the tank is taking the keepers. You don't want to corner them in with no way to go. Before we engage the second boss, Oakheart, we need to take care of all 5 of these nightmare dwellers. They will cast Tormenting Eye on random players, and if you let them finish the cast, it will fear the targeted player. If that happens, make sure to dispel it quickly, but preferably help make sure the cast doesn't finish in the first place. Oakheart has a few abilities we as healers need to pay extra attention to, and the first one he does is called Shattered Earth. This does a significant amount of AoE damage and knocks all players back. Make sure you top off the group fast after this. Roots will start popping up under your feet. Move away from them as soon as possible and help DPS them down. Pro tip here for all you paladins, you can actually hit Blessing of Freedom on yourself and walk over all of these roots, which removes their own rooting effect. The next important ability is Crushing Grip, when Oakheart picks up the tank and deals a lot of damage to him for the next 5 seconds. Pay extra attention to the tank during this time. After 5 seconds, the boss will throw the tank at a random player, dealing damage to the tank and the targeted player. Other than this, don't stand in front of the boss and help with the roots and you are good to go. After he's dead, we head into this corridor with all the slimes. We pulled more here than we initially had planned, and I think once again it's probably my fault. I did not realize that the tank used the fear sigil before I attacked one of the slimes and they got engaged. These slimes can be very dangerous, and when they die, they do a lot of damage, so be prepared. The big elemental looking guy will do a frontal that the tank should aim into the wall, but it does a decent amount of damage to all players. He also spawns this big red orb that drops down upon you. As you see here, I thought I was just at the edge of it, but I was a bee stick inside and they instantly killed me. Next up is Dresaron, which is a fairly simple boss healing wise, but can be difficult to heal considering the movement of the fight. He does something called downdraft, which continuously pushes players back. If you're pushed too far back, you will spawn those little whelplings that need to be AoE'd down. The trick here is to stay underneath the boss when he starts to spell. This makes you get pushed back less and it's easier for you to control. It does a lot of damage, so make sure you have some instant spells ready or you've prepped your group with hots. Immediately after the downdraft is done, he will cast Earth-Shaking Roar, which deals a lot of AoE damage in the form of falling rocks from the sky. These areas are permanent, and the tank will need to navigate around the room to find a safe space. It can get tricky here with all of the area denial and the pushback, so be on the lookout for a good spot before it starts. Outside of this, try not to stand in front of the boss, you are good to go. This next pack is more dangerous than most people give it credit for. These imps cast Dread Inferno on players, which if hit deals a ton of damage to all players around you. As you can see, there are a lot of these imps, and if you're pulling all of them, make sure you have the CC and damage to kill them before they get their casts off. You will see at the end of this pull, several of them gets a cast off and one of them is on me, and I just couldn't get my health back fast enough to save myself. The summoners in this group cast Curse of Isolation, which should be interrupted when possible. This curse targets a player and deals AoE damage to everyone surrounding them. If you're the target of this, move out. These Bloodseeker bat-looking things will put a disease on your tank. If you can dispel it, please do so as fast as possible, as it stacks up quickly and does a lot of damage, especially on fortified weeks. If you do not have a disease dispel, you need to pay extreme attention to the tank during this pull. This last pack in this tunnel includes one of each of the enemies we've already encountered here. We opted to skip this with the Fear Sigil from the Demon Hunter, but if you encounter this pack, be prepared. There's a lot of damage that goes out here, and make sure you try to help CC and interrupt the enemies. We finally make it to the last boss, Xavius. First thing to be aware of here is Festering Rip, which he casts on the tank frequently. This hurts, and if the tank is off his CD management, this can be very painful. Make sure you dispel the debuff it applies as well. If you get Growing Paranoia, move out of the group. Our evoker friend here got it and you see he ran out immediately. If you get targeted by a Nightmare Bolt, you have to stack up with at least one other player, otherwise you'll be silenced and can't cast any spells. Feed the Weak gets casted on a random player and deals a ton of damage to them over 5 seconds. Pay attention to this player as it can hurt. These same casts cycle through until the boss reaches 50%. At 50% health, this is when he casts Apocalyptic Nightmare. This is where you use all your personal defensives, and you as a healer need to make sure you have your ramp completed and your CDs available to heal the group. In this particular run, we pop Double Darkness, Evoker Zephyr, and my own Aura Mastery to counter the damage. In this second phase, he keeps casting the same stuff as in phase 1, with the addition of purple shit on the ground that will instantly kill you if you stand in it. It's a stressful second phase, made even more annoying because of these damn tornadoes everywhere. That is it for this healing guide. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please consider liking the video, dropping a comment below, and more importantly, subscribing to the channel. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.